Hello and welcome back. I am Steph and today we are going to make my vegan buttercream frosting recipe. It's a really simple recipe but also really delicious. So let's get right into it. Alright, so for this recipe we're going to use a stand mixer with the paddle attachment, or you could also use an electric hand mixer. And I am adding in 340 grams or 1.5 cups of the vegan butter that we made in the last video. But you could also use Earth Balance, Miyoko's. Just make sure you use a stick butter and not a spread. And this vegan butter has also been sitting out of the refrigerator for an hour or so to soften. So when we start mixing here, it is nice and creamy. And you just want to mix until you have a smooth consistency like this. Next, I'm going to sift 6 cups or 800 grams of powdered sugar to make sure there aren't any clumps in there. And I'm just going to add 1 cup at a time of this powdered sugar into the vegan butter and start mixing. You want to start it off on a low speed and then increase the speed slowly, because if you start too quickly, you're just going to kick your powdered sugar out of the bowl. And anytime you need to, you can just stop the mixer, use a spatula to scrape down the sides of the bowl. And I will just repeat all of that with the remaining powdered sugar, 1 cup at a time, until we have a nice thick mixture. Okay, so next I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and half a teaspoon of salt. And yes, my butter is salted, and I'm adding more salt because there's not quite enough salt in the butter to really balance out that sweetness and bring out the buttery flavor. You could also add some vegan food coloring here if you want to. Gel food coloring is great if you can get it, but I have also used the liquid food coloring from Whole Foods with no problems. Just keep an eye on your consistency. You could skip the cashew cream and or add more powdered sugar if you need to get the right consistency. Next, I'm adding some cashew cream here. This is left over from when I made the vegan butter, and I'm starting with just 1 tablespoon. If you don't have any extra cashew cream laying around and you don't want to make it, you could also use some unsweetened non-dairy milk, but make sure you start with a lot less of it because it is going to be significantly thinner. But I personally really like using cashew cream here because it is so thick and it's not as easy to accidentally add too much. One thing I want to point out with this recipe is you don't need to follow the measurements too closely with the sugar and the cream because all vegan butters are a little bit different. So instead of going directly off the measurements, I think the best practice is to just judge by the texture. You want to make sure that your frosting is stiff enough for whatever you're using it for. So frosting for a layer cake should be a little thicker than a cupcake frosting because it needs to support the weight of the cake. So use your judgment to get the right consistency. If it's too thin, add some more powdered sugar. If it's too thick, add some more cashew cream or non-dairy milk. And that tablespoon wasn't quite enough to get the consistency I want, so I'll just add a little more. And I am happy with this consistency now. So I'm just going to finish it off by turning the mixer up to a high speed to get it nice and fluffy. Alright, my vegan buttercream frosting is finished. I am going to put it in the refrigerator until my cupcakes are ready and cooled, but that is going to be the next video. So for now, we are all finished. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next one.